Are you ready to step up? The pursuit starts here. Welcome to this episode of The Pursuit of Excellence, the show where we go beyond the surface to discover what truly drives greatness. We dive into mindset, discipline, and strategies to push past plateaus, master the fundamentals, and redefine success on your terms. The pursuit starts here. So today's guest, I'm very excited to have you. Sandi Glandt is a high-performance productivity coach, best-selling author of Slay Your Day, and host of the CW's Connect Network. As Mrs. International 2022 and a business owner, wife, and mom, Sandi helps high-achieving women take back control of their time, beat burnout, and unlock their full potential. Through her signature S3 framework, systems, strategy, and support, she's changing the way women think about success, structure, and self-care. I'm thrilled to dive into what greatness looks like in business, life, and beyond with Sandi Glandt. So welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you.
I love it. Well, as a sister queen reigning in 2022, I absolutely have been inspired watching your journey since then and just mastering the fundamentals for everything that you're doing right now, but also what you're doing in your client space, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd actually love to understand, just because I am a fangirl, how is it that you are defining excellence in this moment right now?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and for me, I have always held that role so sacred and have never taken that for granted. And I've always we're talking about like the pursuit of excellence and greatness, and that for me has always come first. So like if I was not a great intentional show up for my husband, show up for my kids kind of wife and mom, like nothing else would matter, because like that is so important to me first. So everything kind of orbits and rotates around that. And doing those things, like taking care of myself and, showing up for date nights with my husband and being there with my kids on whatever that means for school or camp or extracurricular activities, that for me, like I have to be good there first and my own self-care before I can go after any of these other big goals, big dreams, whether it's being on covers of magazines, writing books, doing PR and media. Those things are all great, but really at the heart of everything I do is being, number one, taking care of my own self-care, because that's so important. If I don't have that, I can't take care of anybody else. And then making sure I can be the best mom and wife and role model and businesswoman that I can be.
I love that. Self-care is such a ambiguous term in this day and age, and I know self-care isn't super basic for you. So I would love for you to actually define what that looks like, because from what I have seen, it's actually very structured and disciplined from what you put out. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is structured. Everything is like, it's so funny because like, I don't come from a military family, but we are very disciplined and very structured in everything that we do. So for me, a lot of the self-care comes from setting boundaries and knowing what I'm saying yes and no to, because I think when we think of self-care, you think bubble baths and like, maybe getting your hair and your nails done and things like this and like face masks. But for me, it's so much deeper. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know this. I don't know when this is going to record or come out, but tomorrow, July 24th is International Self-Care Day. And again, for me, like it's so much more about boundaries and sticking to the commitments that I do say yes to. So I think first and foremost, before any of the face masks and bubble baths, it's really about prioritizing what are my commitments and what are the boundaries so I can show up fully in what my commitments are.
I love it. So I'm literally in the process of writing my book called Boundaries and Bullshit. Yeah, because I find that it's so like you literally just hit the nail on the head, right? It's how often are we actually fulfilling the commitments that we promise ourselves? So it's one thing to show up for your clients, your marriage, your kids, your family. It's an entirely different thing to make that promise and hold it to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So really understanding what that level of commitment is and how often do we find that we're breaking our own promise? Like we're lying to ourselves. Yeah.
If you can't keep that commitment to yourself, how in the world are you going to keep that to anybody else?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's for me, it's always just practice the way you're going to play, the way that you're going to show up, the way that you're going to execute. You literally are training for peak performance. And since your client base, everybody that you serve, everybody that you're speaking to is in a high performance capacity, what are some of your non-negotiables in order to replicate that level of discipline, that success, the
Yeah.
self-care? Yeah.
Yeah. So I my non-negotiables are first and foremost, like I said, taking care of myself on the bookends of my day. So my morning routines, my nighttime routines, and it's so structured that like, a lot of times people think that like having a lot of structure is boring, but it allows you to do so much more. And so for me, it's just making sure my nighttime routine is locked in. It's so simple. I feel like it's so simple that it's easy, but at the same time, it's so simple that it's easy not to do. So little things like setting out my gym clothes. I do this every single night. I literally set my gym clothes out because it's the first thing I do in the morning. So I set those, everything from my vitamins to my workout clothes. It's funny. So our kids are sleeping in our bed. So we do co-sleeping, and we have this really big, beautiful Alaskan king bed that we sleep in. And I get up at 5:30 in the morning. So my day starts at 5:35 a.m. to be exact. And I actually so I go into my son's room because they're in my room. Our bathroom is in there. I put all of my stuff in his bathroom because I know I just wake up, I go right in there, I get dressed, I brush my teeth, and that's where the day starts. But it's so like micro, down to the micro habits that make the biggest difference. So tracking my macros, again, like I know it sounds extreme, but like you want to be high performance, you got to do these things. So making sure I go to bed on time. I go to bed really early. I go to bed at like 9 p.m., between 9 and 9:30, because I'm up at 5:30. Making sure I get enough water during the day. Like my workouts are so sacred to me because that sets the tone for the day. Like eat that frog, do the hardest thing in the day, in the beginning of the day. So always, without fail, every single day I'm moving. I'm getting in cardio, I'm getting in weightlifting. Now I'm about to do a competition, so I'm doing cardio and weightlifting
I
every
saw
single day.
that.
So there's a lot that goes into it, but I truly think that like you just have to simplify, because I think sometimes it can be intimidating for people to hear high performer or high performance, or like how do we operate like the 1%. It's so simple that I think people really they underestimate these little micro habits that they can do that are going to completely change their life.
Yeah. I think I fully resonate with that. I've been trained since I was very little to get up with the sun and go to bed
Yes.
early. I'm like a self-proclaimed grandma because I hold it so sacred, those morning
Hmm.
routines, in order to
Yes.
drink my coffee, read my scripture, make sure that I'm in the right mindset to go after what it is that I've structured out my day for. But you're so right. Like people think it's so complicated, and it's out of their grasp, out of their realm of capability in order to go and execute. And really it just comes down to framework and holding yourself accountable.
Discipline. Like
Yeah.
discipline is because there's so, I did a whole YouTube video on this about like how to become a morning person, because the first, I don't know, 2 decades of my life, into my 20s, I used to work in the event space, so I would be up late, I would sleep late. And I remember because my husband, we've been together for 12 or 13 years. I remember when I moved down here to Florida to be with him, and he's like, oh my gosh, like you're getting up at 9 o'clock. Like I cannot operate like this. And I was like, I knew that was the thing that was really holding me back. And it's so funny because for the past 5 years, I get up before him. I get up at 5:30. So he's like, just the transformation, like anybody can do it. Anybody can change their habits. They can change what their life looks like, but you have to commit. Like I was the pain of me not transforming was so much greater than just the comfort of me wanting to sleep in until like 8 or 9 o'clock. So like you've got to find what do you have to give up in order to get to that next level? Because if comfort is what you seek, you will never get there.
Yeah, behavior modification it's either the carrot or the stick. And ultimately we want it to be both, right? We want the carrot to outweigh the stick, right? We
Yeah.
want we want to make sure that we're also rewarding ourselves for those moments, celebrating those minor wins, but they're huge because they compound. Um, yeah. So, okay, I'm so excited. You are constantly in competition on stages, in front of people. I would love to understand what it is. So for me, right, when I'm getting ready for a big consulting project or getting on stage, being able to build out your execution strategy and then make sure that you are delivering your best package, right? So I'd love to understand how pageantry, how getting on those stages, what it is that you go through in order to get set up to win, right? I always want to make sure that I'm showing up because it's all about the pursuit, right? We want to focus on the journey. So yes, the non-negotiable self-care as far as just a daily habit for peak performance is important. But when you're getting ready for competition, it's a completely different mindset for me because you're dialing in, you're grounding. It's such a different level of motivation, like personally. I'd love to know what it is that you go through, that mindset, the strategy side of it. And then when you're getting ready to perform, how is that showing up for you?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think a lot of times, and I coach women in this space also, so I get a lot of their feedback. I think a lot of times, women in this space, they think they need all this external information. Like they'll hire 5 different coaches, they'll listen to all the social media, they'll listen. And I actually do the opposite of that. I do the reverse. I get really quiet and I kind of go inwards because when I was competing as Mrs. Florida International and then won Mrs. International, I remember thinking like, I'm walking into a space and into a room and into a competition where these women have been doing this for years. I mean, and that can be intimidating when you're going into a space, especially as someone who is competitive, who, likes to win, who sets big goals for themselves. And I remember thinking at the time, like, you cannot be looking at the women next to you. You have to be so confident in who you are. And I would say this to every single woman out there, like you are your own superpower. Like you have to be so confident because I see these women and they get in their heads. They have checked out before they even give themselves the opportunity. And so I would just say like be so confident and strong in who you are and what you bring to the table, regardless of the outcome, that no matter what, you're coming in the best version of you. And so whether it's a fitness competition or a pageant or public speaking or business, like it doesn't matter. You just have to, and again, it goes back to the discipline and it goes back to the routines and all this work that you're doing prior. Because when you get on that stage, it's never just all of a sudden, the stars align and you win because that day you were phenomenal. It was all the work that you did leading up to that moment. So I would just say, tune out like a lot of the noise and really just look inwards and focus on why you're there, what's your mission, and really just channel like why you're doing this. Because at the end of the day, like all the accolades are great, but if you're not proud of yourself, regardless of the outcome, like what are you doing it for?
Yeah. I think that was the biggest aha for me, competing in 2022, like reigning as Ms. Texas International 2022. Like for me, pageantry was it is because I intend to compete at some point again in the future. Um, it was such a profound experience because everybody that is on that stage is beautiful, well spoken, they have purpose. But to your point, right? They get in their head. So we all get in our head. They've all achieved these remarkable accolades, and yet whoever steps in to actually be crowned, they were able to tune it all out and show up and radiate. And so for me, it was once you were reigning, the impact that you had in your community, in your state, nationally. Like for me, I served 15 different nonprofits. My platform with celiac awareness, beyond celiac. So what was it like for you reigning that year once you were crowned? What was that like?
I mean, it's an incredible first. I mean, I'm sure you could imagine it, like you're in shock at first when when it happens. But I think after you get home and you get settled, you kind of just go back to life as normal. I mean, for me, Slay Your Day was always my book and my brand and my business. Like it was never my platform for just the pageant. It was my life. Like I was living it. So, I mean, I remember getting back on a Sunday, and then that Monday we shot for the Connect Network, and we were like, all right, now let's like weave into the show that Sandi just won Mrs. International. But like I was already doing these things. So I think that in terms of my reign and how it went, I was very fortunate because I've already built contacts with a lot of media, with a lot of publications, with a lot of PR. So it was very seamless for me to plug in where I needed to highlight the international organization. Because I always give the analogy, whoever wins, like whatever, if it's Mrs., Miss, teen, preteen, like you should already have in place. And again, from a business standpoint, like what is that marketing plan, visibility plan before you win? Because once you've won, now you have to hit the ground running. You shouldn't be trying to figure it out day one, right? Like that should already be in place. Yeah. So for me, it was already so woven into what I was doing that it was very easy to now tap into those contacts again. And again, the analogy that I share is like, you should be a powerhouse on your own with the work that you're doing, how you're serving your community globally. Obviously, it's an international organization, the reach that you have, and then team up with the powerful organizations such as International and come together and just have this rocket ship of a year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's, on the judging side of things, when we're coming in and doing the interview, it's really, we're looking at who has a business strategy, who has a business plan to be able to not only amplify their platform, but also the circuit, right? So it's the system that they're in. So
absolutely.
I absolutely love that. I'd love to switch gears a little bit and talk about money.
Yeah.
So, I always come at this from the mindset that excellence, that pursuit requires a level of investment. So whether it's being healthy, wealthy, or wise, there's synergies across the board. So it requires a level of financial commitment or time, effort, energy. How do you look at, what is your money mindset associated with the pursuit?
Yeah, so it's so funny because, I have two boys, and I've always, because I was very fortunate to grow up in an entrepreneurial family. So money was always a tool. Money was a tool to other resources. Money was a tool to further education or to tap into other communities, right? So for me, that's truly how I look at that. So we can look at money as a tool to invest in resources like coaching, like different programs, like getting in rooms and in circles that you normally wouldn't be introduced to. So I think that when you can shift the mindset from, money is scarce, and if I spend it, like, is it going to come back? Because again, depending on how you were raised or programmed, that could be a very real thought for you. So I think that when you get around other, I'll say women, communities that think with money as a tool, the mindset shifts. And the mindset now is, this is an opportunity for me to connect with other people, to expand, to really use it in a way that I get to help more people. Because at the end of the day, if money is just, money is it's a piece of paper, right? Like it's a number in an account, but it's what you do with it that makes the biggest difference, whether that's helping someone, whether that's giving to a charity, an organization, providing resources. I believe when money is in the hands of women that are good women who want to do good in this world, it just compounds and it becomes, call it law of attraction. There's so many different words for it, but you start to see how you can start accumulating this again as a tool and a resource in your life to attract more, because you're thinking with that abundance mindset.
I love that. I always think about giving money a purpose. It needs a purpose. It's a tool, like you said. You need to be able to understand how money aligns with the impact that you're trying to make. And so I love how you've shaped that. I love that that's something that you incorporate into your coaching model, because it's that abundance is huge. And when money has a purpose, it has a tendency to multiply. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love that. you talked about your family, right? Having an entrepreneurial mindset. I came from a similar background where my parents had a consultancy. So I was raised inside the family consultancy doing strategic sales, business optimization consulting. And that foundation has served me so well through all the different career shifts and project shifts and focuses. What is it that you think has carried with you from that those lessons learned as a kiddo into how you've shaped it into, the success that you've achieved?
Yeah. So the one thing that my grandfather passed down to my dad, that passed down to me, that now I share and teach my kids, is a motto, is a saying, and my grandfather would always say, "You are the creator of your own destiny," and whatever it is that you want to achieve financially or with your family or with your health and your wellness, like that is in your hands. And I think the big message there, for me at least, has always been you don't put something on someone else. Like you are the person, you are the only person that gets to create that. Because I think it's so easy to put blame or to say like, why me? But if we flip the script and say, no, it's only up to me to be able to create this. I truly feel that is the reason why I've always been very fortunate with opportunities, with the right people around me, with the right mindset, because it's never been about anybody else. It's only been about this is my responsibility to make these things happen. And I'm not going to blame or shame or, point fingers. The only person that this is up to is me. And that includes with my husband and my kids and my business. Like anything that happens, like just taking the responsibility and knowing that all of it is only up to me.
Yeah. I it's so powerful, our level of free will, right? So
Yes.
it's literally we can achieve anything. We can
Right.
literally do anything that we want. It's just a matter of making the decision.
Yeah. And we're
And
probably thinking really, really small because we're like, oh, like justifying it. Like, oh, I could do that. So let me try that. But like, if it's too big, I don't know. Maybe it's like not for me. But like, why not? Because you will rise to the occasion. Like that's what I've seen in everything that I've done. And also why I push my kids out of their comfort zone. Like we just did goals. We did like a goals board. I posted it on my social media with my kids, and they had to do, there was like 5 different areas that they had to come up with that they wanted to do specifically for the summer. And it was, one of them was like, what do they want to learn? What do they want to get better at? What do they want to, like, how do they want to help or like influence, the community? There was 2 others that we had on there. And so getting them to think this way at 5 and 7 years old, like I know that I always grew up with that, but it wasn't like my parents were having us do poster boards and present. Like we had the boys present to my husband and I like what they wanted to do. Just little things like that. I mean, we could do these as adults, right? But I think it's just we don't get clear on what we want. So instead of like having a plan, having a strategy behind it, we're kind of just like grabbing at whatever falls in our lap versus being proactive about it.
I love that. My mom friends are looking for the guidance and structure to be able to provide their kiddos with what they're not getting at school. Giving them an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to understand what it is they're capable of. And a lot of times I'm finding that they're having this battle with technology. So how is it that you are incorporating those goals and that structure to give them the exposure, but also
Mm-hmm.
challenge them?
Yeah. So first thing is like I asked them, I'm like, what are you interested in? What do you want to learn? So when we went over these like 5, goals for the summer, my older son said he wanted to start a YouTube channel. He also said he wanted to learn Portuguese. My younger son said he wanted to move for like work out for 30 minutes a day. And sometimes they're like in the gym with me, like working out, which I love. It's, it's the cutest thing ever. He said he wanted to try a new food like once a week, which also I think as a mom, like this is the best little hack ever because, you could give them the same foods over and over. I have to say like my kids will eat anything. And I think it's because we've like gamified it, right? We've been like, oh, like try the star fruit, try the spinach, try the like whatever. And I don't get mad at them if they don't like it. I'm just like, I just want you to try, you know? So number one, just like seeing what they're interested in, because I don't want to push them. Like my boys, although they look very similar, they're so different. Like my youngest is into like science and art and music, like more of a creative. And then my older son is into like sports and languages and public speaking and like all the things. So I want to find things for them that they get excited about, because remember like when you were in college and like I know at least for me, when I had to do like math and science, I was horrible. I was like not a great student when I had to do all the subjects I hated. But when it got to public speaking and like English and history and all the things I was really interested in, I thrived and I did really well. So that's kind of the angle that I take with them. And then we are doing something a little non-traditional this year, which is we're homeschooling. So we hired a tutor to come, and the curriculum is based off of, you know, the regular core curriculum, math, science, reading, writing. But we also now are incorporating real life skills and entrepreneurship, business, and the things that they want to do, like the science and the art and, you know, the language. So it's like I said, it's a little non-traditional, but I've never been one to like follow the rules and just like do what is like laid out for me. I'm kind of like, let me figure it out and find the best route to go based on where I want to go.
Yeah, you're pioneering a new way of that's more effective across the board. And frankly, I absolutely love that you're incorporating gamification, because it's such a crucial part of constructivism. So if we're like talking pedagogical theories, which is just basically how people learn, right? The play side of it, you're significantly more likely to adopt a new skill set if you're able to fail in a fun environment. So I absolutely love that you've incorporated the fun, and it's so important as adults too that you incorporate the fun.
Yeah. You know, I read probably just as much, if not more, parenting books than I do like the marketing, the business, and you know, all of the other side of the work side of, you know, life. And so there's so many parallels. Like it's so crazy. Even in my marriage, like it's my husband will joke and he'll be like, "Can you use some of those tools like with me that you do with the kids?" But and if think back to like Mary Poppins, right? Like the whole Disney Mary Poppins, like, you know, Disney movie was about her like gamifying cleaning up and like going on these really fun adventures. And like, I always knew like I wanted to be the fun mom, but I also not just a fun mom. I also wanted my kids to learn in a way that like was exciting for them and was just like different experiences. Like the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, I said to the boys, when you come home from camp, I said, I want to take you to the beach and do like a pizza party on the beach for dinner. And they were like, it's so funny. We live 2 minutes from the beach. I'm from Pennsylvania. They're like, oh, I don't know if we want to go. I'm like, the beach is so close to us. You guys don't even realize how lucky you are. But, you know, even when we go there, looking at shells, like, you know, walking on the beach together. And I say to them, look, we're on the beach right now. Like, tell me about what you're excited about right now. What are you looking forward to? So it's these little, again, micro moments of connection and just making things fun that they get excited for too.
I love that. It's romanticizing your life, you know, enjoying every aspect of it. And you made such I don't know if you noticed. So you talked about the marriage side of it. So incorporating those things into your marriage. And so I'm divorced, I'm dating. And so I actually love to incorporate that into my dating life. And like dating's supposed to be fun. And so everybody's so burnt out in, you know, the app world. And so I've just thoroughly enjoyed getting to know people in the having fun space. So it's so important in marriage and life and with the kids and family and all the family events to just make it fun. So I love the micro moment side of that.
Yeah. And look, when life gets busy, it's like you do have to, because like Jared and I will meet every month. We have like Jared and Sandi days, and we meet and we talk about like what's coming up. Like he's just coming home from a week-long trip, a business trip that he had. He'll come back. We'll have like family night tonight. And then we're actually going out on just like a vacation date, he and I, for the weekends. So we just, again, it's like finding, like, do what you can where you can. And I think it's like, again, it's so simple. But if you just operate and let life happen to you, like you're never going to find the time. You're never going to feel ready. So it's just like you have to create it and make the time to do these things because it will make your life so much more fun and so much more productive.
I couldn't agree more. I'm actually about to film an episode on building out your strategic dashboard so that you have something that incorporates all of those key initiatives, both personally, professionally. What is your vision? What is your mission? What are your core values? Who are you? And what is it that you want to stand behind? So I absolutely love that you've incorporated that. I know that's a big part of your S3 framework, right? Is building the strategy. As we start to wrap up this conversation, I'd love to know what it is your mission is in this moment.
Yeah. So I mean, I have the mission is kind of like trifold because there's a mission for me personally. There's a mission for my family, and then there's also a mission in business. So, I think for me, I'll start with my business is it's really, really important for me that the women, the community that I have in my life, that if their goal, because again, it has to be their goal, it can't be my goal for them. If their goal, and a lot of women, most of the women in the high performance community, that's how they associate and see themselves, like they're high performers, whether as moms or as women or as business owners, like they are striving for the best version of themselves. So to me, that's really what I coin as like slay your day, or whatever your version of that is for you. So my goal under the business umbrella is really having a community of women that are winning, having a community of women are winning that support each other, that are hitting their goals. Because I don't want to just hit my goals. I want the ladies that are in my community, I want them winning and winning big, supporting each other, going after their goals and dreams. And however I can support them in that capacity, creating the systems in their life, creating more structure, creating really big goals, magazines, podcasts, TV shows, books, like there's so many things and there's so much out there for us that if I can align them with, again, the systems, the strategy, the tools, the support, the resources, like that for me has always been on my heart, that I really, it's so personal to me also, because I don't think that you have to give up one for the other. I don't think you have to give up being an awesome mom, an awesome wife, having an awesome body and health and a business. I always say like baby's body business, like you get to have it all.
Yes, I'm here for it.
So that is under the business space. Under the personal space, I would say just like being the mom that like no matter what, I'm there for my kids, the camp or the school, not this year, but the camp drop-offs, doing really fun activities with them, and like having great communication with them, being able to talk to them. I have 2 boys, so like whether they're 5 and 7 or as they get older, I've always had a great relationship with my family, so continuing that with them as well as my husband, and keeping it fun and sexy, date nights and travel and making core memories. Like I have to say, both my husband and I, not only do we really prioritize family, but like not a length of time, but like being together and making it matter. So that's really important to me. And then personally with my own goals, I have my own goals for my health, my fitness, and I think that they're always changing and evolving. And I just want women to know that that's okay. Like if you have a goal that you had from a week ago or a day ago, if it changes tomorrow, that's okay too. But just be in alignment with yourself to know it's okay and you can restructure, but don't sell yourself short. Like if you have a goal, just align yourself with the people or the tools or the strategies that are going to allow you to get there, because you'll also go so much further faster with the right people in your life.
I absolutely agree. Like preach, woman, preach. Okay, so what is it that you are wanting the audience to know? What are you working on? How do people find you? How do they connect with you?
Thank you. So a couple things. So September 25th, I'm hosting an event for 200 women called Called to Lead. And I'm so excited for this. This is going to be an amazing event where women are coming together, getting in the room with other top performers, business owners, philanthropists, just women that are really making a difference, not just in their communities, but in their own lives, and they're showing up and doing it, right? So Call to Lead is September 25th. Grab a ticket, come join us. They can find that on my social media at Sandi Glandt. And then also my High Performance Academy. So my High Performance Academy, every single week we meet virtually, and we go into it. Like we go into the different systems and strategies, both in home and in business. But then we also have really fun, meetups and events that we do together, that it started off quarterly, but now it's kind of like every other month because the ladies are like, we want more. So we do the in-person, we also do the virtual, and it's amazing to see how these women come together, they collaborate, they support each other, and they grow together. So if you're looking for a community where you can grow and become the best version of yourself, the High Performance Academy is for you.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Pursuit of Excellence, Sandi Glandt.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Pursuit of Excellence. If you liked the episode, make sure to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you never miss a show. Follow us on Instagram at The Pursuit of Excellence Pod to stay up to date on all podcast-related news. And you can follow me, Tinja Anderson, for all things finance, fitness, and food. See you next time.